Greetings and salutations, everybody. E. Spencer Kyte, your friendly neighborhood Spencer man, here on Friday, October 28th. So you want to make a bet? Severe MMA YouTube page. We're going to be making the bets for UFC Vegas 63, but as we do to start all of these shows, we have to begin by going backwards. And good Lord, was UFC 280 an absolute bloodbath. Now, before I get into my actual results, I want to specify that it feels like it was a bloodbath for everybody. Most of the people that I follow, several of the people that I follow, I should say, had a rough night. And that gives me some comfort, right? It's one thing to have a rough night myself when everybody else is cashing tickets and doing well and posting profits. But at least there was some uniformity throughout the group that people took an absolute kicking. And tickets hit the floor everywhere. Everybody was crumpling and running. Some of those bets were just, they didn't work out, right? Muhammad Mokaev got a third round finish instead of the first round finish many of us predicted. Malcolm Gordon was better in that fight. Some of the underdogs that everybody liked, myself, Volkan Ozdemir, didn't get the job done. Nikita Krylov, good game plan, good performance, good victory. Matoish Gamrot, the Beneil Dariush fight, it was a great fight. Beneil made the right adjustments. Those are just tickets you lose. Then there's TJ Dillashaw, who turned up unbeknownst to anyone with a shoulder that was going to fall out of socket every 48 seconds and put himself in a position where he can't really win that fight. And so that for me was 2 units just out the window that had no shot of cashing. And so overall on the night, 17.5 units out, 4.33 units in, cashed one single ticket, and that was Islam Makhachev finishing in the second round because we had either fighter to finish in the second round or in any round for that matter, which means we were down 13.17 units for the event, which sucks and is hard to swallow. Year to date, 70.25 units out, 51.3 units in, down 18.95 units. It is a return on investment at negative 26.98%. None of that is good. None of that feels good. None of that makes me want to rush to get back here every Friday. And yet I'm here because I understand that this is tough. And there's a part of me, honestly, there's a little small piece of me that as much as I want to be cashing tickets every week and providing, obviously, sound advice and good advice, there's also a piece of this where I'm like, yeah, but at least this is showing that it's tough. Like, I'm not making terrible reads. I'm not making terrible bets. This is the fight game, and this is betting on fights. It can be really bad for a really long time before it gets good. It may not ever get good. I hope it does. I hope we get turning some profits. I hope we get moving in the right direction. And hopefully that starts this weekend in Las Vegas. But listen, it's hard. It's a grind. Sometimes you can have the right idea about fights and make good bets, and the fights just don't work out that way. They just don't go the way you thought they would, and you end up losing money. To that end, as I say every week, as we sit here and get ready to get into the picks and the bets for UFC Vegas 63, please, I cannot underscore this enough. Make sure you are gambling responsibly. Only put in what you can afford to lose. This is overall a losing racket. Anybody that tells you they have got this wired, they have got this beat, is lying to you. It is difficult. Not saying that there aren't people that have success and sustain success and make money from this. But even they know that they're fortunate to come out ahead. There's no systems. There's no, this is the way to do it. It's gambling. It's a gamble. It's a risk. And so if you or anyone that you love, anyone that you're friends with, anyone that you interact with is struggling with gambling addiction, is struggling with problem gambling, please seek help. please consult the links that will be posted in the description of this video that offer services and aid in North America and in Europe and the UK. Please, please, please check those things out. We're here to have some fun. This is supposed to be a good time, a little add-on, a little seasoning to the rest of the card, to watching the fights, a little side project. But if it's more than that, it can be very, very dangerous. We don't want that for anybody that's watching this show. We don't want that for anybody in general. And so please, if this is a problem, if you are struggling with problem gambling or just need some insight, need some advice, please consult those links and figure things out, because we want you sticking around and having fun with this, not having problems. So we move into the selections. UFC Vegas 63 from the UFC APEX, headlined by Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen in a very, very competitive, very important featherweight contest. And it's where we'll start, as we do every week, because we do have selections for the main event. And it feels like I honestly, most weeks I will make a main event wager of some kind, because it's obviously the fight most people are aware of and paying attention to. It's usually the most important fight on the card in terms of divisional significance and ramifications. And so it just feels like the kind of fight that we need to have a little something on the go for, right? We can't be not picking the main event. So this week, we have 1 unit on Arnold Allen to win at -125. We have half a unit on Arnold Allen to finish at +260, and half a unit on Arnold Allen to win a decision at +220. So that's a total of 2 units out for a total return. And I'm doing this math on the fly because I didn't do it beforehand, because I'm dumb that way, of 5.2 units. Total return, if all three of those, those are the total returns. All three of those can't hit at the same time because he can't finish and win a decision. So if he wins and he wins the decision, then we're looking at 3.4 units back for 1.5 units out. If he gets the finish, we're looking at 3.6 units back for 1.5 units out. So an Arnold Allen win, no matter how it happens, is producing at least 1.5 units of profit. I think this is a fight that is very competitive. I think Arnold Allen has more paths to victory overall. And I'm playing on the side of, Harry and I were talking about this, just the two of us chatting today, sort of talking about our thoughts about this fight. And Calvin Kattar is the A side. He's the established person. And it seems like there's greater interest in the B side, in Arnold Allen. And I drew the comparison to the Belal Muhammad Sean Brady fight last weekend, where everybody was talking about Brady and he was the favorite and he was the guy we were sort of looking to see how he would do in that fight and in that moment. And Belal was sort of just the, like, we know what we get from Belal. Now, obviously, anybody that bet the Sean Brady side had a rough night, because Belal Muhammad went out, looked outstanding. And I think this is maybe the fight where that sort of inverts. This feels to me like a fight where that can invert, because I think Arnold Allen is a little bit more proven than Sean Brady was. He's on a 9-fight winning streak in the UFC, 11-fight winning streak overall. And as I said a minute ago, I just think he has a few more paths to victory than Calvin Kattar, who primarily is just going to come out and look to box. He's just coming out looking to throw hands, looking to be the more active, the greater volume striker of the two. And I just think with Arnold Allen's power, with some of the battles that Calvin Kattar has been in over the last couple of years, some of the damage he's accumulated in those battles, this feels like a good opportunity and a good spot for the emerging British standout to get a victory. And so we make these plays, little bit of a favorite play with the win for Arnold Allen. And then if that's successful, no matter what, whether it's a finish or decision, we're cashing extra units. We're making well over a unit profit. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to make profits. As much as it doesn't seem that way, given the number of tickets we have fired onto the ground or torn up in frustration over the last several weeks, we are actually trying to make a profit. A little further down on the main card, there is a heavyweight fight between Waldo Acosta Cortez and Jared Vanderaa. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm playing the Vanderaa side. Here are the plays, and then I'll give you my logic. It's half a unit on Vanderaa to win at plus 175, which returns 1.38 units. Half a unit to finish at plus 300, which returns 2 units. And half a unit to finish in the first round at plus 700, which returns 4 units. So here's my thinking in this. And you're probably, look, this may be 1.5 combined units that just thrown in the garbage and adds to the negatives that I've accumulated so far over these last couple of weeks here at Severe MMA and overall in the last couple of months since I started keeping track of these things. But my thought is that for all of his lack of success in terms of results over the last few fights, Jared Vanderaa has at least shown me that he can compete with fighters at this level. He had every opportunity to beat Chase Sherman last time out. He had Alexei Oleinik in bad spots in the fight before that. And so while he's lost 4 straight and is only 1-5 in the UFC, at least I've seen him in there with UFC level competition and know that he can hang and push guys a little bit. I don't know that about Acosta Cortez, who is coming off of the Contender Series. Yes, he has big power. Yes, he's undefeated, but he hasn't faced anybody. There aren't any names. There aren't any guys that he's faced that you're like, oh, that's a really good win. The most familiar name on his resume is Mo Doris in Bellator. And like, it's a win. That's it. It's one of the 7 victories he's earned. And so Vanderaa being a guy that has a little bit of wrestling, that has a little bit of grappling, can he go out there and put the big Dominican hitter on the canvas and find a submission? Right? We've seen him. He was hunting and searching for submissions and winning grappling exchanges against Alexei Oleinik. Now, I say all of this, and last time out against Chase Sherman, he didn't just go to the wrestling when he probably should have, and it ended up costing him. So as I said, this could very well be one of those instances where the first round expires or Jared Vanderaa gets clobbered inside of 30 seconds, and we're just pitching these 3 tickets onto the ground. But if it plays the way that I think it could, and it plays the way that if I'm in Vandeera's corner, I'm screaming at him this entire camp, and we're drilling this entire camp, we're betting 1.5 units for a potential return of 7.38 units for him to go out there and get a first round stoppage win. These are the sort of underdog stack bets that I like. They're the ones that really turn a night around and give you sort of that very good chance of having a profit. So we'll see what happens. I can't believe I'm advocating for someone on a 4-fight losing streak, but here we are. Next up, a middleweight fight between Josh Fremd and Tresean Gore. And I'm making some plays here on Tresean Gore. So we've got half a unit on Gore to win at plus 140, half a unit on him to finish at plus 275, and 1 unit on the fight lasting under 1.5 rounds at plus 150. Trey is a guy that in watching The Ultimate Fighter season 29, you can see the raw materials. You can see the explosive athleticism. He has power. He has speed. He's got some good size. And he even had some good moments very early on in his fight against Cody Brundage last time out before getting slept. I like that he is working with Saif Saud and the crew at Fortis MMA. Obviously, if you know me and you follow my work, you know I have a good relationship with Saif. The first thing I ever posted here at Severe MMA was a in-depth sit-down interview sort of feature with Saif about his journey. And so this is sort of banking on there being some improvements and adjustments in going and working with that camp and being around more professional fighters and guys with lots of experience in the UFC that can sort of help Tresean Gore elevate his game. It's betting against a little bit of Josh Fremd, like a guy that, you know, as I said on Wednesday, maybe doesn't qualify here as a real guy that needs to stick around the UFC, could just be a sort of very good regional fighter, but not quite good enough to fight at this level. And then the under 1.5 is just that I think one way or another, this fight doesn't last all that long. And so we stack some bets again, much like the Vanderaa picks, to see if we can't collect an accumulation of results that turn 2 units out into far greater units back in. First fight on the main card, Dustin Jacoby and Khalil Rountree Jr. in a light heavyweight fight. Just a little bet, just on a hunch, on a if it's gonna happen, this is what's gonna happen. And so it's half a unit on Khalil Rountree to finish at plus 265. This is one of those bets for me that the number is just too good to pass up. The return is just too good to pass up. If Khalil Rountree wins this fight, it's a finish. He's not a guy that's going to decisions. He is looking to get you out of there and get you out of there violently. It may not come to pass. Dustin Jacoby is a very good fighter. He's on a 7-fight unbeaten streak. Could win this fight by being a technically superior kickboxer. But if Khalil is going to win, he will finish. And at plus 265, half a unit returns 1.8 units. And so I'll take that chance at a potential 1.3 unit profit for a result that happens most of the time should Khalil Rountree be successful. Move to the prelims. Andrei Arlovski facing Marcos Rogerio de Lima. I've got 0.5 units on Arlovski to win at plus 200 and 0.5 units on Arlovski to win by decision at plus 300. I'm going to be honest. When I pulled this up and I looked at this, I was completely flabbergasted that Andrei Arlovski was the underdog here. He's on a 4-fight winning streak, beating guys like De Lima for all intents and purposes. Like, I don't know how whoever's making these lines. I mean, I'm grateful, but I don't know how you look at Marcos Rogerio de Lima and go, yeah, he deserves to be a 2-1 favorite over Andrei Arlovski. Not sure. He's got some power. Absolutely. He's got some submissions, but Andrei Arlovski has been in there with guys that everybody at heavyweight has some power. And Andrei Arlovski, over his last 4 fights and really his last 6 fights, save for his fight with Tom Aspinall, excuse me. Thank you for bearing with me. Save for his fight with Tom Aspinall, has been successful, right? He's won 6 of his last 7 fights, and the one he's lost is Tom Aspinall, which is understandable. And all of those have been by decision. Like, he's gone out there and figured out how to win 2 of 3 rounds on 2 of 3 scorecards. Make no mistake about it. This isn't a play on Andrei Arlovski being a tremendously superior fighter. This is more on Andrei Arlovski being someone who has figured out how to win fights at this stage of his career in the UFC against this level of competition. He's not a guy that's going out there and is chasing finishes and is looking for big moments. He's looking to win 2 of 3 rounds on 2 of 3 scorecards, and that's it. And I think he can do it on Saturday. And if he does, we turn 1 unit out into 3.5 units in, and I like those numbers. Earlier in the card, Chase Hooper against Steve Garcia. This is just one where I'm playing a favorite, and I'm playing it a little hard for myself, like more than I tend to play. So we've got 3 units on Chase Hooper to win at minus 300 and 1 unit on Chase Hooper to finish at minus 105. That would be 4 units in for the win and 1.35 units in for the finish. So a potential 4 units out, 5.95, just about 6 units in, should it go that way and Chase Hooper get a win and a finish. I think Chase Hooper winning this fight feels like a near foregone conclusion to me. The 1 win Steve Garcia has in his 3 UFC fights came against Charlie Ontiveros, who didn't win any UFC fights and has subsequently been released by the UFC. And it was a fight where Charlie Ontiveros hurt Steve Garcia multiple times and just didn't know how to capitalize. So I think that Chase Hooper, who we saw look good and work through some difficult spots, some tricky spots last time out against Felipe Colares, should go out and get a victory. And so I like that 3 units to get a unit back or a unit profit. The finish is just because this kid, when he wins fights, he finishes. Right? All 3 of his wins are finishes. He's a kid that likes to attack. He likes to chase stuff. And as much as, pun intended, and as much as I advocated on Tuesday in my Fighter to Watch column for him to dial it back a little bit and settle into positions a little more and maybe not be as aggressive in chasing things, I still think there will be opportunities presented for him to finish. We saw Steve Garcia last time out get stopped by Maharshate. And while I don't think that Chase is necessarily going to finish him with strikes, I think he can put him on the ground and find a submission. He's got 15 minutes to work. He will continue working for all 15 of those minutes. And so my hope is that the Dream goes out and has the best performance of his career, dominates this fight, and ends it with a submission of some kind at some point. So we cash a double up here. Last thing we will touch on, as we do every week, the severe selection parlays. So the main card parlay, as I say every week, these are 0.25 unit wagers where it's just so that if we get all of them right, we're not looking and going, really, I didn't make any profit off getting all of those right. So the main card accumulator produces odds of plus 4,380. A 0.25 unit wager produces a return of 11.2 units. The prelim specific parlay, which is 6 fights, produces odds of plus 2731 for a return of 7.08 units. Fewer dogs in that one than in the main card, where I like 3 underdogs. And then the full card severe selection parlay is plus 126,768 in terms of odds. And so for that 0.25 units, if it hits, if we run the table on Saturday, we're bringing back 317.15 units and we're having a celebration. Those terrible numbers from the start suddenly become tremendous numbers and inflated success that will paper over all of the paper I've thrown on the ground. I don't know if it's going to happen, but as I say every week, we make that pick, we make those 3 selections for just in case purposes. If something, the stars align, the reads, the predictions, the analysis, the diagnostics line up correctly and everything breaks right, and we go 11 for 11, we cash big. That's it for the show. Please check out the severe selections that I've referenced a couple times now. Also here on the YouTube page, check out everything that the boys have been putting out on the Patreon. Sean and I actually did a, not emergency, but a special edition of Hot Topic talking about the fallout from the Sean O'Malley Piotr Jan fight. That is available for free on the Patreon right now. So please go check that out. Check out everything on the website. I will be back on Saturday with a recap of the event from the UFC APEX. Harry and I will be back later in the week next week, we're actually going to move the takeaways to Tuesday to clear some room for the big show on Sunday with Sean and Graham. Check out everything. We appreciate all the support. It's been a great first couple of weeks, as much as the results haven't been there in terms of the betting show. But we're having fun. We're having a good time. I appreciate all the support. Hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy the fights if you watch them. If not, have fun whatever you're doing. Know that we appreciate you. Know that we love you. Take care of yourselves and one another, and we'll talk soon.